Welcome back. It's Power Rankings time. Yep. So I've gone through and I'm doing this a little bit different this week, and I'm going to do it this way going forward, where I also include their record over their last 10 games. Because people get really caught up in what happens on Saturday night, and they're like, I can't wait to see how my team does on the Power Rankings. This is going to be great. And then it's, well, wait, they won tonight. Why did they drop when I update the Power Rankings every day? So, that being said, number 32 is not San Jose. Not San Jose. That's right. Number 32, dropping one spot from last week, Chicago. They are 2-8 over their last 10 games. That is tied for the lowest amount of wins over the last 10 games of anybody in the NHL. And for Chicago, all of the distractions over the last week being as the distractions are, this team was already in trouble before the distractions. So, Chicago, imagine if they won the draft lottery again and got Celebrini. I'm sure the internet would really celebrate. Number 31, dropping 6 spots from last week, and they're also 2-8 over their last 10 games, and that's Anaheim. So for the Anaheim Ducks, they did get the shootout victory tonight. What the shootout victory did was it prevented them from being 32nd. So by getting two overtime against Colorado, it prevented them from being 32nd. If they had lost that game tonight in regulation, we'd be talking about the 32nd place Anaheim Ducks. It's been a rough go over the last few weeks, and again, they're 2-8 in their last 10, but their most recent is one of those 2 wins. We'll see if they can get on another winning streak. They've been very streaky this year. Number 30, 4-5-1 over their last 10 games, so almost 500 over their last 10 games, and that's San Jose. They move up 2 spots. San Jose Sharks. Now, I know if you're a Sharks fan, you might be like, does that mean we're going to the playoffs? No, not really, but not 32nd this week, so soak that in. 30th. 30th hasn't been last on the board in a very long time, since before I had a puck board. So it's been a long time since we had 30 teams in the NHL now, as I just get older and older. But yeah, San Jose moves up a couple of spots. Again, they're 4-5-1 in their last 10, and they've shown over the last few weeks, with hard work, they can get victories, but they have to keep working harder than everybody else if they're going to get them. Number 29, dropping 5 spots from last week. They're 3-4-3 in their last 10, Seattle. So this is where things get tough. This is 3 teams in the Pacific that are in the bottom 4. So yeah, Seattle's just they're getting losses. They're getting points here and there, sure, but they're not getting enough victories. 3 wins in their last 10, and falling out of relevance when it comes to playoffs. Does Ron Francis start thinking about selling somebody at the deadline or shopping players now? Like, this is where you can tell things have really changed. Back when I started watching hockey, all 4 of these teams would have already made numerous deals to try to at least change something in the locker room. But at this point in time, with the salary cap situation being as it is, well, we'll see, right? Does Seattle end up doing anything? I think they need to. They need something to change the trajectory they're currently on. Number 28 on the board, moving up 2 spots from last week. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10, but they've won 2 in a row, and that's the Wild. Yep, Minnesota. The Minnesota Wild, I still think the odds of them making the playoffs are kind of long. However, they've been better lately. Again, firing the coach seems to have helped in the short term. Over the next few weeks, we'll see if it helps in the long term. You do usually get that bump when you get a new coach. It's a matter of that bump lasting, which it normally doesn't last that long. But anyways, they're number 28 this week. Number 27, also jumping up 2 spots. And with a record of 4-6 in their last 10, it's Columbus. Columbus Blue Jackets, 27th overall. That's the highest they've been in a while. But again, it's week 8. And for Columbus, they're trying to get themselves back into the race. Which in the East, I think is going to be more difficult than the West. I think the top 8 teams in the East are starting to get things together. We may see some separation. We'll see. Once we get to the Christmas break, we'll have a better idea. And of course, I'll do standings videos between now and then too. I did a standings video after the 1 month. I think I should do a standings video as well after 2 months, and then look at how things have changed over that last month. But yeah, for Columbus, things seem to be getting a little bit better, but they need to stop having setbacks like they've had here and there. And they've had enough, again, 6 losses in their last 10. They need to win, I would say, 7 out of every 10 from here to really get back in the hunt. Number 26, dropping 5 spots from where they were last week and back in the bottom row is Montreal. Not really a surprise Montreal's in the bottom row. I'm actually more surprised they stayed out of the bottom row for as long as they did. Montreal is 3-6-1 in their last 10. Plucky game from them tonight against Detroit. They did come back. They got a point there. But again, for Montreal, they need to get some victories. They need to get above 500. Again, 500 is more wins than regulation losses. So I keep getting that question. What's NHL 500? It's not true 500. True 500 would mean just having two columns of wins and losses. I would love that. I would love to see the third column go away just for the chaos it would create and just have straight wins and losses. Makes for a much cleaner table when you look at your standings. But for Montreal, they need to get some wins soon. Number 25, and moving up 2 spots from last week, the Oilers. The Oilers are not quite out of the bottom row yet, but they're getting there. And I have no doubt that next week they will no longer be in the bottom row. Things are getting better for the Oilers. They're now 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. And they look good. They look good. Things are getting better. Again, they dug themselves into quite the chasm in terms of standings at the start of the year. So it's going to take a while for them to dig their way out of that. That's part of the reason they're still in the bottom row too. But yeah, right now they're playing well, and we'll get a better handle on where they're at between now and the Christmas break. But I would not rule out the Oilers maybe going on a nice long run here and getting themselves into a playoff spot. Fascinatingly enough, of course, Jack Campbell's played well in the AHL, and he's probably getting a call up this week, and they'll likely give him another chance. Number 24, moving up 4 spots from last week, Buffalo. So the Buffalo Sabres are 3-6-1 in their last 10. They did have a couple of... They've been up and down. So again, this week they end up at 24. I don't expect them to stay there. Today's game against Carolina, well, they lose 6-2 against Carolina. I did not move them down based on that loss against Carolina. For me with Buffalo, though, it's really getting to the point where, like tomorrow they have that game against Nashville. That to me is going to be really telling. If they cannot bounce back and have a really strong showing against Nashville, they're in the bottom row. They'll be below Montreal. So tomorrow night at this time, if Buffalo doesn't beat Nashville, spoiler alert, they'll be 26th on the board. So I guess I can do a power rankings again tomorrow night. I'm not going to, but I could. Number 23. I'm not going to, but I could. Number 23, dropping 3 spots from last week, the Islanders. Now, the Islanders, it does feel like they're starting to get things together. They need to stop getting those extra time loss points. They are 5-2-3 over their last 10. Interestingly enough, of course, Barzal missed the game, and then Nelson didn't finish the game tonight for them either. If they lose both of those players, I don't like their odds going forward, but the Islanders are an odd team. While I talk about St. Louis being odd, and they are, the Islanders, it's an odd story with them too. It feels like we've been here before with all the overtime losses. Didn't they do it last year, or was it the year before, that they had a record that was almost like 6-6-6? I seem to remember that with the Islanders, but this year's been... It's been up and down for them, and we'll see whether or not they can get into and stay in a playoff spot soon. Number 22, dropping 5 spots from last week. The 5-5 over their last 10, Ottawa Senators. So they get the win tonight against Seattle, but this is where I try to explain this to people. The win against Seattle does not move Ottawa up. The loss against Columbus does move them down. So it's with the idea of how are they playing in relation to other teams. Well, when you lose against a team that's beneath you, then, yeah, that's going to cause gravity to pull you down. When you're beating a team you should beat, it doesn't necessarily mean you move up. So for Ottawa, they end up dropping 5 spots on the week. They need to start stringing together some wins. They're very busy in December. They have 15 games in December. December's the make or break month, although we've talked about how November is usually the make or break month, and they did not have a very good record in November. So the good news is they're not that far out. Again, it's that whole storyline of nobody's really established themselves as a power. Amongst the top 8, I would say there's 2 or 3 teams that are probably pretty comfortable with the idea of making the playoffs, but almost anybody else, not necessarily. All right, number 21 on the board, moving up 5 spots from last week. The Atlanta Flames. Well, it's the Calgary Flames. So I'm using my Atlanta puck because when else am I going to use the Atlanta puck? Please let me use the... Why can't I use the... I can use the Atlanta puck, right? I like the Atlanta puck. I think it's nice. So the Calgary Flames, strong week from them. I didn't bump them down based on the loss against Vancouver. I do think they need to stop needing comeback victories. That's the one thing with Calgary that I have some concern with, is relying on comebacks. Ask Anaheim. Recently, the comebacks dried up, and it's been a more difficult slog for the Ducks. So Calgary needs to start on time and not fall behind. If they had played the entire game the way they played that second half of the third period against Vancouver, they just would have won the game. But yeah, for the Flames, they move up 5 spots from last week, so no longer in the bottom row. Number 20, dropping 8 spots from last week. So they moved up the most last week, and now they've dropped the most this week. So for Tampa Bay, they just don't look good right now. Like they don't look good, and this is the problem. When you have a team where goaltending needs some work, the defense not necessarily all that great, you have Kucherov having one of the best months he's ever had, and you're still finding ways to lose games. That's frustrating if you're Tampa Bay, because you know Kucherov's not going to score 2 points a game for the rest of the year, and that even if he does, you may not win enough games to make the playoffs. So Tampa Bay, I think, is in real trouble. They've now got Vasilevsky back. There aren't really excuses that I've seen with Tampa Bay for why they're in the muck and the mire that they're in. So we'll see if they dig their way out next week. I don't anticipate them moving up 8 spots next week. Number 19, moving up 3 spots from last week, and 6-4 in their last 10, whereas Tampa Bay's 4-5-1 and Calgary's 6-3-1 in their last 10. Here's Nashville, who are 6-4. So they move up 3 spots. They did lose the lead against New York. So they had the Rangers, they had them pinned down a bit, and then they let them up and the Rangers beat them. It's what the Rangers do. So I didn't penalize Nashville for that, and I think they've been playing well lately. So we'll see if that continues. They've been up and down this year. So they're 19th this week. I'll be interested to see how the next week comes up. Again, they've got a big game. I think it's a big game between them and Buffalo, because for both teams, it's kind of a chance to prove, okay, we're turning things around. And, Nashville does need to do that, get back to 500 again. Number 18 on the board, moving up 1 spot from last week, the St. Louis Blues. So the Blues, and I've talked about doing a video on St. Louis, it may end up being a madness board. Like when I think about what I want to talk about with the Blues, it's kind of sort of a little bit of everything, so may end up being a little bit of everything. But St. Louis is a fascinating story this year. They move up 1 spot from where they were last week. They had the loss tonight against Arizona. I have no idea from one night to the next what I'm going to get with St. Louis. I can't imagine how it feels for Blues fans, because it's got to feel similar to that. But it's been an adventure. We'll see how things go. Number 17, also moving up 1 spot from last week. So I don't want to overreact with New Jersey losing that game against the San Jose Sharks. Coming into that game against San Jose, it's not really a huge surprise they'd have a letdown. So I didn't penalize them for that letdown. They had a winning streak going into that. I think they're trending in the right direction. That game might spur them to some better results and teach them you can't overlook a team. It did feel like they were overlooking San Jose in that game, and not it just wasn't there. The effort wasn't quite the same, and the results clearly helped San Jose get out of last place on the board. But New Jersey moves up the 1 spot because Tampa Bay drops as much as they do. Number 16, big mover this week, moving up 7 spots from last week, Coyotes. So that's why I'm wearing my Space Coyote, because Arizona is in the top 16, which is not something that happens a lot, but they're legit. They've won 4 in a row. They've looked good in those wins. So when Arizona's been winning these games, it's not like I'm looking at the end and going, that's a fluke. That win over Colorado, that was real. The win over Tampa Bay, same thing. The win over Vegas, same thing. And the win over St. Louis, yep. So Arizona's got it going on right now. Connor Ingram's been fantastic. If they can get Vejmelka dialed in the way Ingram has been, this is a very, very dangerous team going forward. And again, there's no expectations with the Coyotes. No one thought they were going to do much this year. I said all offseason, I said this team's going to be better. And people say, they're not going to be any better. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. They're better. And if the team doesn't take them seriously, I really think Arizona's got a good chance of making the playoffs this year, which will break some people because that means the Mullet would host playoff games. Number 15 on the board, moving up 1 spot from last week. Pittsburgh. So the Pittsburgh Penguins, they move up one spot. They're still in the top half. Very competitive game between them and the Flyers tonight. That was a lot of fun to watch. I look forward to the rematch on Monday. That one's in Philly, too, so it's going to be interesting to see if, after Philly wins in Pittsburgh, if Pittsburgh goes and wins in Philly. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens. But yeah, should be a fun game when that comes around on Monday. And Pittsburgh's playing pretty well. Pittsburgh is 4-4-2 over their last 10, whereas the Arizona Coyotes are 6-3-1 over their last 10. New Jersey 4-6 over their last 10. So, again, the record over their last 10 gives you a good idea of who's probably moving up, who's moving down. Not necessarily, but in Pittsburgh's case at 4-4-2 in their last 10, I still think they're playing well enough that, yeah, they're going to be in the mix for a playoff spot. Number 14, also moving up one spot from last week. They are 6-3-1 in their last 10. The Flyers. I have to use this puck. Why can't I use that puck? Anyways, the mascot pucks I like using, but I know there's people who say that they have a hard time seeing them. I assume that's on their phone. But Gritty's pretty easy to see. The big orange face and all that. So, yeah, for the Flyers, I think they're trending in the right direction as well. I'll be interested to see what Danny Briere does now with this team, because if they stay in the hunt, you can't just sell, can you? We saw last year both the Capitals and the Red Wings decided, well, we're not going to win the cup, so we're gonna sell. And it was a smart move, I thought, at the deadline by both teams. Is Philadelphia going to be that team this year that looks like they're in the hunt and then sells? We'll find out a few months from now, but for now they're in the hunt. They look good. Couturier, Atkinson, getting them back has been huge. And I think their goaltending's better than advertised as well. All right, number 13, also moving up one spot from last week. They are 6-2-2 in their last 10, and that's Les Red Wings de Detroit, or the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings are, I think, a playoff team as well. So we're getting into the Eastern teams here that may break in either direction. I think Pittsburgh, Philly, and Detroit, all three of them. Would I be surprised if they're playoff teams next spring? No. Would I be surprised if they fell out? Also, no. This is such an unpredictable season. I just feel very fortunate to be witnessing what I'm witnessing, because from one night to the next, I have no idea what's going to happen. There have been seasons where it feels kind of predictable, especially the one where you had the 8 good teams in the East and the 8 bad teams. It was like, who cares? And it was tough to watch. We don't have that anymore. This is a very wide open NHL. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night. And why not Detroit? Why can't Detroit make the playoffs? Number 12 on the board, also moving up one spot from last week, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Maple Leafs move up one spot. I think that there's too much made about the regulation wins column with Toronto. I think they're still getting points. They didn't get the victory over Boston tonight. I thought that was a good game for them, though. I think there's too much importance given based on the history between the two teams when Boston and Toronto play against each other. And I say that as a Canuck fan, that anytime Boston plays Vancouver, that there's still that discussion of 2011, which was ages ago now. But yeah, for Toronto, I do think there's really encouraging signs there. You had Marner with the hat trick the other night. You get 2 goals out of Matthews tonight. Nylander's heating up again. And Wall has been very, very good in the net. And I think their defense is better than it looks as well. I do. I think all they have to do, is add one top 4 guy to replace what Muzzin would bring to the lineup. And I think they'll be okay. I don't think their defense is as broken as others may think. Number 11, staying in the same spot as last week, Washington Capitals. I don't understand the Capitals. I fully, straight up, do not understand the Capitals. They play bad, and they win. They don't get shots, and they win. They did it a couple of times this week where they just didn't look good, and they won the game. Tonight against Vegas, they tried that again. It did not work. Vegas beat them when they weren't playing well. So with Washington, they're still getting the results. So I can't move them down when they're winning games. But I don't look at Washington right now and say, you know what? They're playing so well. I can't. I think this is a team that, has had the good fortune of Lindgren stealing some games and, some timely goals from guys like McMichael. But I don't know what to expect from Washington. And yet their record right now would tell you, well, they should be a playoff team. They would be fascinating in the playoffs no idea what to expect in the playoffs if the Capitals make it this year. Because they're doing it without needing goals from Ovechkin. He's still sitting at 5 goals. He doesn't have a goal in 5 games now. Is it 5 or 6? It's been a while. And so I don't know. I don't know what to make of them. They're a mystery. Number 10, dropping one spot from last week. So you guys can leave your hate down below if you'd like, but Vancouver drops to number 10. Vancouver, I think here's the thing. So I thought it was interesting that after they lost against Vegas, it was pointed out that they do not have a good record against teams that are considered to be contenders in the NHL. Right. And I think that's fine. And I think they've got a lot of points against teams they should beat. I don't think that's a bad thing either. That's what a team that should make the playoffs does, where they get the points where they need them. Tonight they get 2 points in Calgary. That's huge. I think the addition of Zadorov, while some people might be overblowing what he brings, on that third pairing, I think he solidifies that third pairing. I don't think he's a top 4 defenseman. I think he's best suited to be in a third pairing spot. Don't overextend him, or else his play does fall off. We've seen that in previous seasons with him. But yeah, I think Vancouver's in a good spot. They're still top 10. I don't think they're elite. They're 5-5 in their last 10. If they keep winning every other game, they're going to be in the hunt for quite some time. Number 9, dropping 2 spots from last week. So dropping out of the top row, and 5-3-2 over their last 10, Boston. So Boston gets the win tonight in Toronto. But the loss against Columbus and just the way they've played over some of these games, so I'm glad Jim Montgomery called them out on it. I feel like maybe that'll fix things. Like tonight they had 11 shots in overtime against Toronto. That's insane. So I think that if Boston goes out there and plays angry and keeps the game under control, so don't make it like run and gun, or else you're going to get just destroyed by some of the teams in the East and some of the better teams in the West. But if they play their style and they play with confidence, I think Boston is going to be right there at the end of the season. I don't know if they have what they need down the middle to win a series in the playoffs, but if they make the playoffs, good enough. But yeah, they're 9th. I did drop them a couple of spots. They are right next to Vancouver. Does that mean Dallas is 8th? No. Number 8 on the board, dropping 3 spots from last week. And 5-4-1 in their last 10, Florida. So Florida's still in the top row. Bit of a tougher time for them over the past week, and they lost at home against the New York Islanders. Again, don't rely on comebacks. Relying on comebacks is bad. And I only say that because, they were trying for the comeback against the Islanders, and it just came up short. You got to get the lead. You got to keep the lead and play out front. And don't try to protect the lead. Because when you stop trying to attack and you just let them have, the whole, it's like prevent defense in the NFL. I don't think we see prevent defense anymore because all it does is prevent victories. Thank you, John Madden. But yeah, Florida, it's my favorite quote, sports related everywhere. The prevent defense only prevents victories. And it's what I think when I see a team with a 2-goal lead just sitting back. Let them come through. Let them get 40 shots. We don't care. Are you kidding me? So at any rate, Florida ends up number 8 on the board this week. Number 7. And 4-3-3 in their last 10, dropping 1 spot from last week. Vegas. I do think Vegas has turned things around. That's why they're still in the top row. They did get the victory tonight against Washington. They weren't having it. They got the victory over Vancouver as well. So they beat teams 10 and 11 on the board, and so they're 7th. 4-3-3 in their last 10, but I do think they've started to figure this out. It's an 82-game schedule. Teams are going to have ebbs and flows during the year. You're going to have teams that go on long runs both ways, whether it's winning, losing streaks. I think for Vegas, I think they've had their bump, and I think they're going to start going back up again. So they may very well be top 5 next week. Number 6, dropping 2 spots from last week. They're 6-4 in their last 10, and that's the Winnipeg Jets. So a couple losses at home, and then today they get the victory at home against Chicago. They had to win that one against Chicago, and they did. And they made it look like it was a win against Chicago. They didn't have to hold on in the last minutes or anything. So for Winnipeg, Ottinger went in there and beat them. I didn't really penalize them for that, but Dallas is ahead of them on the board right now. So Vegas still top 7, Winnipeg still top 6. Who's number 5? Number 5 on the board, moving up 5 spots from last week. And this is where it gets interesting. I think Carolina as a team is playing very well. And I think the Carolina Hurricanes are going to figure out how to overcome mediocre goaltending. Now, will that help in the playoffs? Probably not. That's something to keep an eye on as you're getting closer to the playoffs. If your goaltending's still mediocre, you're going to have problems in the playoffs when goaltending becomes that much more important. But for Carolina right now, they're playing well. They're getting wins. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10. And I just felt that they deserved that top 5 spot, so they've gradually moved up during the week. The win tonight against Buffalo, that was an impressive victory. So Carolina ends up in the top 5 this week. Number 4, moving up 4 spots from last week. They are 6-2-2 in their last 10. Dallas. The Dallas Stars, I think the loss against maybe the loss against Calgary is exactly what they needed. Because today's game was more, like, I understand Tampa Bay hasn't been good lately, but Dallas was playing like Dallas, if that makes sense. If you follow Dallas, you know what I'm talking about. They looked like they did early in the season today. And it does feel like they're still getting points. They're still getting points in games that maybe they don't bring their A game. So I still think Dallas is going to be very tough to beat. They are the team that I picked to be in the Stanley Cup final this year against New Jersey, who's 17th on the board. So New Jersey, pick it up. But yeah, Dallas, number 4 on the board this week. Number 3, dropping 1 spot from last week. I went back and forth on this. I did. So Colorado has been very good lately, right? They are 7-1-2 in their last 10. They get the shootout loss against the Anaheim Ducks tonight. But tomorrow they're playing in LA. And LA is a team that they've beaten once this year. That's going to be a massive undertaking if they're going to beat LA again. Because it's going to be the second half of back-to-backs. Should be interesting to see what happens. Colorado's still playing really, really well. I just felt like there's a team that can pass them this week. Number 2, the LA Kings. So LA is 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. For the LA Kings, I don't know what else to add to that. They've been playing quite well. Even in a recent loss, they outplayed their opponent. So, and these things happen, right? But I think LA is playing really, really well. If you look at their goals for, goals against, and all their numbers are fantastic. So really, I mean, their power play is 20%, which is about average. But still, their power play and penalty kill put together are almost 110%, which is considered elite. So LA overall is having a really, really good year. Number 1 on the board, same spot as last week, same spot as 2 weeks ago. We're almost to the point where I can put the New York Rangers just first to start the video, can't I? The New York Rangers are scary good. They've got the goaltending, they've got the defense, they've got the forwards, they've got the depth up front, the depth in goal, the depth on the blue line. Like Jonathan Quick and Igor Shesterkin both steal games. And Adam Fox today had 3 helpers. This Rangers team is ridiculous. So this is the 3rd straight week they've been number 1 on the board. And this is why when people say, oh, he just favors his favorite teams. Yes, my favorite teams are the Rangers, the Kings, and the Avalanche. Got me. Anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.